By the end of this video, you will learn the top 5 red flags in women, so you can possibly skip decades of dating the wrong women and hopefully find your future wife. That's a big promise for a video, huh? Yo, it's Damo, and my purpose is to give these life lessons to my younger self and hopefully one day a generation of young men. So, without further ado, let's talk about the biggest red flags in women. Okay, I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Number 1, childhood trauma. What is a red flag? A red flag is just a warning sign that there could potentially be some issues in the relationship that are not ideal. And let me tell you, from somebody who has gone through 17 years of childhood trauma, somebody that has dated multiple women with childhood trauma, oh, it's definitely a red flag. So, of course, just because a woman has childhood trauma doesn't make her automatically a bad partner. One of my ex-girlfriends had a horrible childhood trauma that left her being a very avoidant woman, filling the void in her soul with money, drugs, casual sex, and getting her needs and attention met through external validation from men instead of being from herself first. Whereas my current girlfriend also has gone through her fair share of childhood bullshit. This one's weird. She's genuinely the first, not only girl, the first person I've ever met who's been so fucked up as a child, who has healed and detached her self-worth and herself as a person from that shit that I've ever met. Like, nobody I know has gone through a similar level of shit that she's gone through and been able to grow up and not let that affect her in a negative way. Okay, the scientific way that childhood trauma works is it all links back to this thing called attachment theory. And attachment theory is the idea that from ages 0 to around 7, your brain isn't fully formed. You subconsciously interpret everything as your fault. So, for example, if you had a parent who gave you a lot of love, but it was very inconsistent. Maybe they worked a job where they had to be overseas, so they would give you a lot of love when they're home, but then they would fly away for 6 months, and the cycle would keep going on and off. Even though logically, you know that it's not your fault that mommy or daddy is flying across the country trying to fucking provide for you, in your subconscious, unformed brain's mind, it's your fault that mommy or daddy isn't there for you 24/7, giving you that consistent, healthy love. This can be even more extreme if you had a parent that died. If you had a parent that died, you're gonna subconsciously internalize that the reason that they left you, the reason that they left this life, is because of something you did, is because of something about you. And that usually leads to people growing up really searching for external validation to replenish, avoiding themselves where they don't believe that they're like whole as a person. So like psychologically and scientifically, this shit is deep. And this doesn't just come from parents, this comes from guardians, teachers, your friends as a kid. Like how you were treated when you were young dictate you so much shit in the future. Like your biggest problems, some of your biggest wins. If you notice that there's a trait about you that you hate so much, for example, for me, being a perfectionist, I hate that I'm a perfectionist. I hate that I have to take so many takes in videos sometimes, that I have to have everything a certain way. And it's like made me so slow in things and made me have to stay up till midnight to do so much work because I keep like backtracking, make it perfect and perfect. At the same time, it's also been some of the greatest shit about me. It means that I really care about things. I wouldn't have been able to build a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel without it. So, you'll notice that a huge majority of people, when they had their fundamental human needs unmet as a child, they will try to search for it either deeper in the relationship, so being extremely needy, or constantly asking you for unreasonable reassurance, or maybe that's you doing it. Or they're gonna search it externally, so they might come into your relationship, cheat on you, text other guys. A girl might come into your relationship and you might be giving her everything, all the validation, all the attention, the financial support, the love. You might be treating her like a fucking queen. But because something shitty happened to her as a kid, the one day that you treat her wrong or you don't provide what you promised, instead of doing what a great woman would do and stick with you and work together with you to fix this problem together, she might subconsciously think like, oh fuck, this guy can't provide for me either physically or emotionally. Wow, that's just like what my dad did before he left. I gotta find somebody else before this guy fucks up my entire life. Of course, that's an extreme example, but for some people, that's how the thoughts go. And if the person is not a very mentally strong person, they will not be able to fight back that thought and see what's happening in the relationship in a reality. Childhood trauma, it's possible. Yeah, It's tough. 2, a high body count. This is where I get canceled for being a misogynist. And it's not what everybody else told you on the internet. The actual reason why a woman having a high body count is one of the biggest red flags is because both men and women, all humans, the biggest goal is reproduction in our life. You can argue however you want against this, but it is in our fucking DNA to reproduce. So, when you train the brain through the repetition of bonding with another human in the most intimate way, literally the most dopamine, without drugs, social media, the most dopamine we would get would be from ejaculation, the intimacy that's created through sex. When you have given that rep after rep after rep after rep of person, it doesn't matter how amazing of a person you are, your brain is used to just being able to give that so many times that when you're in a relationship, even though that person might be the most special person ever to you, not only when problems happen in the relationship is your brain gonna default to the hundreds of times, and when I say like high body count, I'm talking about girls with like fucking 20, 30, 40, 100, 2,000, man. Like your brain is gonna default that you can get this external validation from so many other people like you did in the past. But also, it is way harder to be able to form a strong connection with somebody when you've done it so many times in the past, because now to you it's just gonna feel like rep after rep after rep instead of building that strong intimate connection. Also, you gotta think, if somebody's able to enter and exit so many deep intimate connections, when you guys are having a problem, the easy way out is going to be what she's defaulted to many times in the past. Now, I'm not saying a woman with a high body count is a piece of shit and that they're never going to become a good partner. Because do I believe, truthfully, let's think, do I actually believe that a woman with 1,000 body count, is it possible for them to find true love and stay faithful? Yeah, it's probably happened in the past. Like, I believe it is physically possible. And maybe that first 1,000 people just didn't work out for them. However, it's very unlikely. Not only is it very unlikely, but it's gonna make the other partner in the relationship, especially if they don't have as high of a body count, a high body count at all, it's gonna make them feel very insecure, very anxious. You could, like, the most secure guy who is maybe a virgin, unless he's just absolutely ignorant, he's gonna feel some sort of deep insecurity with being in a relationship with somebody who's just so much more experienced. Like, you're literally gonna be in a relationship with somebody who's like taken 100 dicks before yours. So you're gonna have to have like the biggest level of security to do that. And boys, unlike what the other self-improvement guys are gonna tell you, this does not allow you to go around sleeping with as many women as you can, but expect to have a woman who's never slept with a man before. The reason being is all that same shit that we talked about applies back to you. And you can make up all that bullshit about how guys, oh, the wiring in our brain is different, and like, you know, I can sleep with a girl and not be emotionally attached. You cannot. You cannot. We cannot give our souls to so many people and expect it to not have a repercussion on us just because we're men. And also, have some fucking respect for yourself. As you wouldn't want to be with somebody who disrespects himself and sleeps with all of Miami, you don't want to lose the respect from yourself. Us men, we should have way fucking higher standards. Number 3, being too money orientated. I was on this date with this girl one time. She was a beautiful Russian girl, and we went to this middle high-end Italian restaurant, and I think the bill was over $100. What you want is, like, in that situation, if you're gonna pay for the bill, and I advocate, like, even if you don't have much money, guys, like, if you're gonna take a girl out, like, make sure, one, it's a place you can afford, but be a gentleman and pay for the fucking bill. But if she doesn't come to you with a thank you, or she doesn't offer to pay even though she's not actually gonna do it, not only is that just not a good woman, that's just a disrespectful person. So I had this happen to me, and like, I was literally staring at this chick, mind you, like, we didn't even speak the same language. I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Anyways, when a woman is too money orientated, not only with wanting you to buy her presents and gifts all the time and expecting you to do that, she's trying to find a high-paying career, or she is in a high-paying career, but she doesn't love it. So a lot of times in the red pill manosphere, we always say that, like, if a woman's not a housewife, she's not a good feminine woman. I believe that's absolutely bullshit. Why? Because I think every human deserves the right to find a work and a job of their purpose. However, as a man, it just feels fucking great to be the sole provider. It feels fucking fantastic to provide financially for the woman. That's what I want in my relationship. In my relationship, I want to be the sole income provider. Now, my girlfriend really wants this amazing business-oriented, high-paying job. At first, it was a huge, like, what the fuck to me? Like, you don't respect that I'm gonna give you this money. And I realized the difference between her and previous girls I've dated is that she wants the job just because she just enjoys that job. Like, she would have done it if it didn't pay her jack shit. Where some other women, and this is where it becomes a red flag, are doing these high-paying jobs because they don't trust you to provide for them. Or they don't trust in a man to come into their life and be able to provide for them like that. Like, they have enough financial resource to provide for themselves and for many others, but they hate what they're doing and they're purely doing it for the money. And I think this is also for guys too. If anybody is doing something purely for the fucking materialistic resource, that means that they lack a sense of fulfillment in their life and the sense of purpose and the ability to fill their own needs in their own cup like that every single day. Number 4, she's always on her phone. And I'm not just talking about social media. Now, we already know the problems with that. If you're consumed by social media in a relationship, it can influence you by showing you like millions of other women, or for the girl, like millions of other guys, probably the way more successful than you and I, look way better. And if you're constantly seeing this, like, no matter how good of a person you are, you're going to start having these thoughts of other people in your brain. Being constantly on social media is also a sign that she lacks discipline, lacks the ability to detach, that she's like every other girl nowadays in their late teens and their early 20s that cannot put down their phone. So you as a man have to lead the way, and you have to be the one that can show that you can get over these modern day like soul sucking addictions. And trust me, I know that it's hard. I understand that. We are fighting against billion-dollar corporations that are, the life work of these people are, they're literally paid to suck your attention to the screen because it makes them more money. It makes the company more money. But I'm here to tell you, and I have other videos on this, it is possible. It is possible to get out of that loop. It takes a lot of mental effort to fight back, to dopamine detox, to delay gratification. If we can do that, we can start showing the ones we love. We can show our woman that it is possible to do that. And I want to be honest, when I first started dating my girlfriend, I was definitely way more of a degenerate. I would be on my phone scrolling 24/7. I was still watching porn. I was fucking like busting nuts every day, like to my own hands. And luckily, she wasn't somebody who is addicted to her phone. But I noticed the more I got into self-improvement, I was able to show her like how much of a benefit it had on my life. And also, she wanted me to respect her more naturally as I want her to respect me. And guys, at first maybe she was on her phone like 3, 4, 5 hours a day. When we're together, I don't see her go on her phone for more than like 30 minutes for the whole day that we're together. So somebody who can resist the modern day addictions of this and put this down, unlike everybody else that she's surrounded by, that is an impressive woman, and that's a huge green flag. The 5th and biggest red flag, she avoids conflict. When you're in an argument with a woman, the last thing you want is for her to invalidate all your points and attack you all the time. As I say countless times, when you're in a relationship with anybody, even when you first start dating, if there is a problem, good way to vet that this is a great long-time partner is she instinctually sees that problem as something that you guys have to come together and fight together. So if there's little things when you guys start dating that you keep bringing up, or you keep noticing that she either completely dismisses, or when you bring them up, she gets extremely defensive and she's not mature enough to sit down and have that conversation, and she attacks you for that, you're not dealing with a woman, you're dealing with a girl. And trust me guys, unless you got the brain of EDP, we want women, not girls. The reason that I say that this might be the most important one on the list is because you can fake everything to a woman, have as much sex as you want, get as many women, and be this person that you're not. Be this person that the internet tells you to become. Trust me, it will work. However, that's for a short-term gain. And deep down, you know this to be true, that nobody, especially you guys watching this channel, because the guys who watch my channel, like, you guys your intellect is a little bit higher than the other fucking, like, just watching the fucking whatever podcast, man. We are looking for the fulfillment in the whole of life, not just this quick source of validation. As much as you know that women test men to test our resolve and our strength and our stoicism, we have to test them back too. Not in a manipulative way, but we gotta test them back to make sure that they are a good fit for the rest of our future. How do they deal with conflict? Do they just run away from it? Or do we work together to fix these problems? Can they handle these tough conversations? If there is something that they do that make us insecure or anxious, can we bring it up with them without being scared to? And if she can prove time and time again that you can bring up these tough conversations and she works with you, that is probably the biggest green flag you can find in somebody. Because that's what a future relationship is all about. That's what having a wife is about, partnering up with somebody. The strength of a man and woman together, partnering up and dominating the world. So boys, there's many other red flags. We'll go through some more in some more videos, but don't settle for shit. The internet wants you to believe that there's only garbage out in the world because they want you to get so sad that the only thing you can do is cope by watching more of their videos and buy their fucking courses. It's not fair in society that women can have all these standards nowadays of guys, so we have to have higher standards for ourselves. We should be proud of ourselves to say that, no, I don't want a woman who can't communicate with me like that. I don't want somebody who only wants me for my money. I want somebody who practices this self-improvement, somebody who cares about the psychology, somebody who can treat a man with respect, somebody who wouldn't leave even if you get bottomed out because they know that on their worst days, you will be there for them. Because you practice this shit. Because this is your life. Because the guys watching these videos, we are here to not only better ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, but we are trying to become the most fucking Giga Chad version of ourselves. Building to that version, well, you gotta have the most ultimate Giga female. Don't settle for shit, boys. See you in the next one.